Hello and welcome to round 3 with Tron. Sure. This is one of the sketchier draws I think you can have, that's fine. Uh, Probably... Don't think I want a power plant map. I like island map though. Like, power plant map just sets up a turn 3 do nothing. Whereas island map gives me more flexibility moving forward. Okay, scape shift. Can't really discard that, but I can now discard lands to thirst. Get them back with Crucible. Don't really want to go for the Ghost Quarter Lock. I don't. I want to thirst before activating this too. Um, the basis for that is that I want to draw into the third Tron. Like, the idea is that I have one Tron piece, and if I map for the other and then thirst into the last one, that's just terrible. Or like thirst into the same copy of it, that's just terrible. Whereas if I thirst, I can draw any of the 7 remaining Tron pieces in my deck and get there. Not too afraid of anything that, like, I don't need to fight with Remand here. So I think I just want to play Tron piece Thirst. Two cards. Elish Norn, Supreme Verdict. We have a plan. It's live till 6 and cast Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. At which point my opponent is no longer playing the game, because that's how Scapeshift dies. Okay. I need to look up the Daryl Ayers list and see what's in it to be exact. It seems like what my opponent, will be doing at this point. So they have 2 remaining land drops still, which they hit. That card's really bad here. um, yeah, my goal is just not die this turn. Reasonable goal considering I'm at 20, and that whole scape shift needs to deal, 20 with 8 lands or whatever thing. I don't actually think there's a reason to Crucible here. Might just be more important to leave up a bunch of mana. I kind of just want to jam Ulamog at my opponent. Stay at 19 and then do that. Guess I could die to land plus ramp spell. But I think it plays a little better around Cryptic Command. That was the wrong land. I should have got an island. I don't know why I didn't. I just clicked the first basic I saw. Let's kill both of the blue producing lands. That resolved? Oh boy. No. Okay, I died to that. Oh, they don't have escape shift then. Or land. So they're either looking for their 7th land or the scape shift. I don't know which. Probably. Actually, I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah, the classic can't ever remand an Emrakul or Ulamog to save your life. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I did not play Thought-Knots here because that can get remanded. Also, because just minimizing my opponent's ability to do things is great. I guess they're also not a Bring to Light list, so they can get punished pretty heavily for. Okay. So they need a green source and an escape shift now? Hooray! We did the thing. We would have thought not of them next turn and attack. Oh, no, they would have just died to my attack, right? Yeah. Cool. Ulamog better than Scape Shift. Okay, Terrastodon. Awesome. Terrible. Great. Great. Absolutely amazing. Not very good. Path to Exile. Stone Cold Unplayable Trash. Elishnorn. Get out. Sweepers. Get out. Ulamog, Emrakul, Iona, all these cards are good. The rest of those cards are all good. Let's take Surgical that can counter Snapcaster. There's a chance they go on like a weird sideboard creature plan. I get punished a little bit for this, but at the same time, I think it can also go over the top of like Inferno Titan. So you also don't really want to board an Inferno Titan against the Remand deck that I'm playing. Note that I'm boarding in Tech Edge for a spell, partly because I don't really want this card, and also because it's definitely more of a spell. And that Spell Snare is great here, and that Sword Thopter is also very good. It really increases the amount of stuff they have to do. Often, well, I guess they're dead before then, but ew, double U, acceptable, I guess. That is not Search for Tomorrow. I wonder if that version's like specifically cheaper on Magic Online or something weird. I've just seen a lot of it. This is one of the downsides of the deck. Your mana can just fall apart on you. Worth noting, sometimes this shift, depending on your hand and how it curves out, it's not unreasonable to have Sakura Tribe Elder just get in there twice before sacrificing it. That's effectively another ramp spell, because again, you only need 7 lands to kill them with 6 Valakut triggers if they're at 18. Valakut, 6 mountains onto the battlefield, kill them. Whereas if you have them at 19, you need to get 8 lands for either Valakut plus 7 mountains, which is 21, or 2 Valakuts plus 6 mountains, which is 36. That is the wrong turn for you to show up. That didn't get remanded? I'm so lucky. Also lucky that they bottom with Visions. Whenever they don't get to keep a card on top, it's great. You know, you'd think that Scry would be the other way, where like putting cards on the bottom is drawing, like virtually drawing cards, but in practice, just leaving the card on top is the scary thing. Am I supposed to sear? I don't think I am. I think I'm supposed to start a fight on my opponent's end step and then on my turn. Also, they missed land drops, so they're definitely sitting on like remand or something. I think I want a Thirst. just get this trash out of my hand. I don't really care that the Terrastodon's not in my graveyard. Yeah, definitely a remand waiting. That was a very important draw. The question is, I don't think I do that. So I think I'm supposed to Signet, get remanded, and play the Fountain here. Just tapped. Because if I shock myself with Fountain, it's the same as effectively giving my opponent an extra land, right? Because it's this whole 18 versus over 18 life total thing that I talked about. We're really just we're building to this with Dispel backup. Sweet that this exiles Scapeshift, by the way, so that my opponent can't Snapcaster Mage it. Okay. Still not taking any damage. We're going to take one hit from that Sakura Tribe Elder before anything happens. Or none. None's also a fine number to take. Yeah, huh. That's interesting. I don't think I actually care about that. I think that my Dispel is just supposed to go 100% after a Cryptic or Remand. I was just laughing about it. I've never noticed this. Like, I've drafted that. I've done a lot of stuff with Kamigawa block, a lot of stuff with Sack Elder. I never realized that he, like, just, I'm a snake. I'm old. I need a walking stick and an extra walking stick. Thanks. Or Shaman Staff. I don't really know which it is. That was a very good draw. I think I'm locked into Searing here. Like, this is my window to do so. Gifting, I don't want to pass the turn and then end up with Scapeshift just getting cast at me. Please no remand too? Yes, it worked. Okay then. That did not go remotely as planned. I am almost surely, yeah, dead. Okay, I'm just not gonna, my opponent has to have mountains in their deck. Cool. Just making sure they actually cast Scapeshift. Okay, that's good enough for me. Well then. I actually don't know what I was expecting based on my opponent's plays. Like, they didn't have counters, and they didn't have lands. They didn't have card draw. So they had to just be all Scapeshifts, and I died. Sure, this hand I think is pretty good. I like how we can, in theory, bait our opponent into going off curve and killing. That's not worth it. I'd rather just have the dual land in play, I think. There's like a cutesy play where I go colorless land, Signet, and my opponent's more likely to spend their turn to blowing up the Signet, but just like looking at the hand, I don't want to do that for like a ton of reasons. Just uh, my mana is better spent curving out like this. Like my life is better spent not having to fetch the white source. I'd fetch an island for sure, but having a white source is always convenient. Just a lot of stuff that's just not worth it there. Explorers looked decent in that deck. I think I'm supposed to just jam a Gifts Ungiven. No idea what for, so let's stop and think about it. I can get like Seer, Map, Crucible, last Tron piece. That sounds really good. Is there an argument for getting Dispel over Seer? I don't think so. I think I want to get Power Plant, Map. I could get Negates though. Oh jeez. Okay, what am I doing here? Let's think about. I don't think there's a way for me to end up with a Negate unless I get a stack that involves me losing my last Tron piece. The realistic outcome of this is I get Crucible Map, which is, it's fine. Yeah, I think I want to get Seer. I think that's just... Maybe I get Crucible Seer if that happens. Maybe I'm supposed to get Negate. Yeah, I'm supposed to get Negate because Crucible negates a bad stack. Map negates a bad stack. Tron Piece Crucible is what I then get. And with my hand, I think that's okay. So I get Power Plant, Crucible, Expedition Map, Negate. And we maiden phase this just so our opponent had no shot to Cryptic or remand it. Yeah, we're supposed to get Crucible Map here, which is still like not the worst stack in the world. I guess there was... I could have gotten Tech Edge. In which case... that's what... I should have gotten Tectonic Edge. Forgot about that. That was by far the best card to get as instead of the Negate for the interaction slot. Yeah, that was pretty bad, actually. Gifts Ungiven's a hard Magic card to play with. And against. I have an awesome story from back when Gifts was legal in Standard. There was a Heartbeat combo deck. And there was a player who was very adept at playing it locally and knew how to like just get you to do the wrong thing. Except when they played against this other player who was really, one of the weaker players in the area. But the good player just couldn't figure out how to gifts on their level. They just like would have their gifts and they'd cast it and they just get things and they'd be like, yeah, I got to set up this combo this way, and they don't want to. They just like no, they just put 2 cards at random into their hand effectively, and it just turned out really awkwardly and like took them like X iterations longer because they made a play that they assumed that someone who was familiar with the like in and outs of their combo deck would have given them under this scenario, this is the slowest way on board, except for they have like an extra heartbeat in hand, and therefore they combo off faster that way. And like that story is kind of the epitome of how Gifts Ungiven just happens to randomly work. So I don't have Crucible, so I just play Map, right? Now I get to pass with Negate plus Thirst Up. That's absurdly powerful. I think my opponent might actually have been in a spot. Yeah, at 19, you definitely get in that one attack to put me down. It's a free. It's basically you're spending a turn not ramping growthing to get a free ramping growth, unless they assume that the game's automatically going to take long enough for them to get into position for that. By that I mean the. Hmm. Saying by that I mean the land. Like if the game's going to take long enough that they're going to get their 8th land regardless, then it doesn't matter. I'm okay losing this Thirst to a Cryptic because it means that my opponent's tapped out on my turn. And I don't think there's any bounce that really punishes me. You know, putting me back a land still lets me play all my stuff. Yeah, really not sure what the worst case scenario is. Or if there is one. We're also like... Our opponent has 3 Stomping Grounds in play. And a Steam Vents. We can put them to 1 Stomping Ground, 2 Mountains, and a Cinder Glade in play. Which is still 24 with 2 Valakut, so that's bad. I was thinking, like, counting the number of mountains they have left in their deck, if I, like, surgical their Steam Vents after Ghost Quartering it. I think we're just, like, 1-ish too short. 2, actually. That's a pretty huge draw, actually. I have no reason to take an action. So if my opponent plays Escape Shift, I am supposed to Surgical Cryptic, let that resolve. And then negate so I can Spell Snare basically anything that goes back. Bottom, bottom, that's great for us. Omen, I think... I think I have to counter Omen. I think that I might just die to Valakut too. I don't know. Actually don't know there. Like, I think that there's a lot of... Like, if your opponent just has a Valakut in those spots, you just die to Omen so quickly. And I have no way to take it out, and I'm not really that close to doing... I guess... Yeah, I can't even Ghost Quarter out of... I guess I could Ghost Quarter out of the Valakut. That was a mistake. I should let that resolve, because I actually have Valakut on lock in hand. And by unlock, I mean I actually Ghost Quarter the Valakut as soon as it hits play, and then I Surgical it, and then the game ends. My opponent just doesn't have cards that do that. We're actually approaching... Well... Opponent's other card in hand is definitely another way to Escape Shift. Somehow this turned out better for us than what I was expecting. I think I want a Surgical Escape Shift to start. The last card, Remand. Why would they do that? They're supposed to sit... Oh, well, okay. They actually had an out. They could have just played the Prismatic Omen here. but the odds are low. They're supposed to save the Scapeshift there because when I negate, they remand their own Scapeshift. I just got like super rewarded. Like I made a bad play. Like I played literally right into the card in their hand, and then got immediately rewarded by them making a bad play back. Not a lot to it. They knew I had the negate too because they gave it to me. Like they probably just weren't thinking about the remand your own spell line that comes up a lot in these matchups. It's not like the most intuitive line, so it's understandable.